If you have an interest in horses and love learning more about horses, the horse industry, teaching, or even managing your own horse business, then you're in the right place. We would love you to join us on our mission, which is to improve the lives of horses around the world through the education of riders, handlers, and trainers. So get comfortable, listen in, and enjoy.
This has been another episode sponsored by Online Horse College. If you haven't had a look at the wide variety of equine-specific accredited courses, then go to onlinehorsecollege.com and I'll see you over there. Today's guest is Shonelle Balsillie. Shonelle started off as an all-round rider, then started to focus a bit more on the classical skills, dressage, show jumping, eventing. She runs her own equestrian centre at Gumdale in Queensland and runs quite a few workshops around the social, emotional well-being with children and incorporating horses. How are you, Shonelle?
Well, thank you.
Wonderful. Shonelle, we normally start off with a favourite quote. What have you got for us?
Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall.
Yeah.
So I think that quote in particular is not only applies to life, but also it's a good one that applies to the horse industry because, we must get back on the horse every time we do fall and overcome our fears and learn from our mistakes and move on from that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a good life skill too, isn't it? Like fall down 3 times, get up 4, or,
Absolutely.
Yeah, fall down 3, you get up 3, but you get up in the first place. And you still might fall down, but you just keep getting back up. Yep.
That's right.
Now, because you've got your own children as well as your students, do you talk to them about that philosophy?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's something that when it comes to teaching, I'm very much about keeping it real and making sure that, as much as you don't want to fall off, it is part of learning to ride. And I've got, I've had children I've taught in the past who will say, but I don't want to fall off. And I'll say to them, well, it's part and parcel of riding. If you don't ever want to fall off, go and play the piano. That's just part and parcel of horse riding. And it's getting back on that horse, even when you are nervous and, a little bit fearful and overcoming those fears. And that's where it truly, that makes it such an incredible sport because it brings out the best in you. And it does. It makes you tough and resilient.
Yep. Now, thinking about your first memories with horses, because you're in the Queensland Shetland Jockey Club, so you started riding quite early. Tell us about your very first memory, the very first time you remember that you had anything to do with horses.
Sure, yeah. So I was about 3 when I started riding. When we moved to Gumdale, which is still our home today, 32 years later. And my brother and sister are younger than me. And my parents always had a horsey background and got us starting to ride Shetland ponies. So they were our sort of first ponies that interaction we had with horses. And they were interesting little characters. I still remember one pony, like one little Shetland I had. Every time I'd do barrels, I'd get to the end, the top barrel, and she'd always buck and throw me off every time. Yep. And it was one of those things, Mum and Dad, but, get up, anything broken, no, hop back on, come on, do it again, hold on next time. She's going to do it every time. So you've got to, lean back, keep your heels down and hang on, get up. So, we started, very young with the Shetland Jockey Club and then moved into Pony Club. And then I actually represented Queensland in sporting for a number of years and went away with the Queensland team down to New South Wales to compete. Yep. So that was a lot of fun and a lot of making a lot of friends as well during those years.
Yeah. Now, you started off your professional career, I was going to say as a teacher, but you would have had horses all through. Were you coaching when you were at uni or you're not, or how did that work out?
Yeah, so I competed right up until I was at uni and then decided I needed to do my level 1 coaching. So I went down that path of coaching whilst I was sort of at university and then continued that through whilst I was teaching full time. I wasn't able to compete because I just didn't have the time being a full-time teacher, but I still sort of, kept my finger in the, horse industry by coaching a lot of in-school students who were sort of from a number of different private schools across Brisbane, and I'd go with them to competitions and help them out as well.
Yeah, and good to have that part-time income, especially when you're at uni as well.
Definitely, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. So if someone wants to start with horses, start a career with horses, and not necessarily coaching, but, just any career with horses, what sort of character traits and core skills do they need?
I think the biggest thing is resilience.
Yep.
The ability to sort of get up and keep going no matter how many times you get knocked down. And, that's just not applying to just, being around the horses, but also sometimes in the horse industry, you can come up, against people who are, don't agree with what you're doing or do things a little bit differently. So I think you've got to be resilient and take on board what other people tell you, but also be true to yourself and know what's right for you.
Mm-hmm.
And commitment, it is a long process. Success doesn't happen overnight. It takes years. So it's that, that never giving up and staying committed. Definitely a strong work ethic and, not afraid to get your hands dirty. I actually say to children, it's not just about hopping on and riding a horse. You actually have to learn to do the dirty work as well, because that's part and parcel of it. Yep. And I make that very clear with the children I teach and to their parents that, we're going to teach your children everything they need to know and give them a really realistic experience with the horses. Unless you're royalty or you've got a lot of money and you can pay someone to do the dirty work for you, unfortunately, you've got to do that part of it yourself. And I think the other thing is to listen and learn. Don't be a know-all. You don't know everything and you never will know everything. Every horse is different. It has its own personalities. What worked on the last horse doesn't work, may not work on the next horse. And again, applying that to the students you work with as well, that each child is different and you sometimes have to change up your teaching to make sure that child, is getting the best.
Yep. What do you think now is the best thing about working with horses, working in the industry?
Firstly, I think it's the satisfaction of working with an animal and the bond that you develop with that animal is it's incredible. And I don't think people who aren't, who are non-horsey people don't understand that. But it's a bond like nothing else. I think the diversity of the industry, it's, one industry that brings so many people together from different walks of life and from around the world. But at the end of the day, regardless of if you're royalty or, a pauper, at the end of the day, all we want is the best for our horse. And also flexibility as well. You can travel, you can go overseas, you can work in different places and, various areas of the horse industry. I've met people, all over the place who are doing some incredible things, not just riding, but, I remember meeting one girl in Kentucky who was actually an Aussie, and she was doing a lot of rehab with horses with oxygen machines and oxygen therapy. And she wasn't riding or competing or doing anything like that, but still working with horses.
Yeah.
So, it's an incredible industry.
It is, and a big industry. And, as you say, there's lots of different areas that you can go into.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Tell us about people who've influenced you and helped you. So your parents would have had an influence, getting you started with horses and them having a horse background as well. But who else has influenced you?
Yeah, so as far as coaching beginners, my mum is an incredible woman. I honestly haven't seen anyone like her who can teach children, who can make riding really fun and exciting.
Yep.
Make learning engaging, but also get the best out of every child. Her patience and her positivity, she's an absolute saint. As far as knowledge and understanding of horses, when it comes to feeding and veterinary care and, just general horsemanship, my dad is amazing in that aspect. But when it came to actually teaching us to ride, no way. That was definitely less fun. But I've had amazing coaches over the years. I've had, Anjanette Harton, who used to coach me when I was in high school, when I was sort of starting eventing and dressage. Jocelyn Park, both Joss and Anjanette helped me do my level 1 coaching and worked with me through that. Simone Khan, when I was in the Queensland Junior Eventing squad, Simone was my coach then, and really gave me a lot of confidence when it came to eventing, and especially the cross-country aspect. She was a brilliant cross-country coach. So, I've been, really fortunate to have some brilliant coaches over the years.
What about horses? Who do you think's influenced you as far as horses go?
Oh, look, I've had heaps of amazing horses over the years, and, horses, in our home basically become our family.
Mm-hmm.
Many of them we have buried on the property because they've just never left. They've stayed to a very, old age. But I look at the horses that I work with, today in particular, our, beginner horses. They're just absolute gems. They're just so patient and, you can put an experienced rider on them and they can go off and do amazing things, and then they come back to a little beginner and, just do what they have to do, for what that person needs at that time. Those horses, and at the end of the day, they don't have to, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they've got a mind of their own. They've got, the strength to do whatever they want. But because you've got that bond with them, and you don't just treat them, it's just, a riding school horse, they are part of the family. They'll actually come up to you in the paddock like, oh, hello, you're riding me today? I think, they actually want to do it, not because they have to, but they actually want to. Yeah, so all the horses I've got, are incredible.
The riding school horses, the ones that teach beginners, they really are the backbone of the industry, aren't they? If we didn't have them to get people started, the industry would be completely different.
Absolutely, yeah. I think sometimes I get a little bit worried because, you have children that come to you and want to learn to ride, and then, mum and dad might go and get them, they've got a little bit of experience and go and get them, a horse. Oh, this one's cheaper. And, where they've got no understanding. And it's not a case of just putting them on any old horse.
Yeah.
You've got to be so careful. And I think sometimes people don't realise that.
Yeah.
And, safety and, making sure. I mean, we used to call them bomb-proof ponies, didn't we?
Yep.
Yeah. So, they're just so valuable.
What do you think has been your proudest moment with horses?
I think it's changed over the years. I mean, as, when I was in high school, it was, competing and, state championships and, winning ribbons and trophies. Now, as a mum, watching my children learn to ride. So Alexa's only 3.5 and Adam will be 2 next week. But watching them ride their little ponies and just their interaction, with the horses makes me so proud.
Yeah.
But also making city kids' dreams come true. Because we are in the city, being able to give these city kids whose parents have no intentions of ever, maybe ever buying them a horse or moving to acreage, allowing those children the opportunity to be around horses and to learn in a safe environment.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I like the way you said making city kids' dreams come through, because you really do. You give them an opportunity that they just wouldn't necessarily have if there's no riding schools around, nowhere to learn how to ride. The city kids don't have parents who rode, or they go down the road to a farm or something like that, but it really does give them that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And parents say that to us all the time, They'll come and, drop their kids off and they'll say, oh, my child's happy today because it's their riding day. This is their happy place.
Yep.
And it's incredible too what riding actually does for so many children. I think, at times I think I even underestimate it. And it's not until, a parent gives you a reminder, of what it's done for their child as far as bringing out that confidence and that, growing that self-esteem, that you sort of stop and reflect and go, yeah, actually, it has done wonders for that child.
Yep. Yep. Now, what do you think has been your biggest challenge to get to where you are now?
As far as challenge in the horse industry, like working with children.
Yep.
Working with children, I think one of the biggest things I'm confronted with probably on a weekly basis is educating the children, that it's not just about, ride, get on the horse and ride the guts out of it until you've had enough, that they must learn the on-the-ground stuff too. They must learn the horsemanship. They must, take into consideration, the horse's well-being. And that's something I love about doing the Ready, Set, Trot program, is because, it's ensuring that children are getting the whole experience, the whole package, the horsemanship skills as well as the practical, and the riding. The number of children I've had that have come from other riding schools, it scares me a little, because I've had children, mum rings up, oh, my child's been riding for 4 years. They can, walk, trot, canter. They can do a bit of jumping. Great, fantastic, no worries. And then, but they've never actually caught a horse before. They've never actually groomed a horse or saddled a horse. You know, and after 4 years of them, you know, supposedly riding, you kind of assume that they'd be across all those things, and they're actually not.
Yep.
And I think that's a big challenge, you know, and some kids don't want to learn all that stuff, but I think, you know, we've got to make sure that that's part and parcel of it, and educating kids, you know, on the whole package, you know, on the ground and in the saddle.
No, that's good. So for someone who's got there or is going into their own centre as teaching, how do you actually teach that? Do you say come for a lesson, come for a riding lesson, or do you say come early and learn about the horsemanship? What's the routine to teach them the other stuff, not just riding?
We actually build it into our lessons. So, you know, part of the lesson is getting the halters there, walking down the paddock or into the stables, they're, you know, learning how to put the halter on, learning how to catch the horse, learning how to give the horse a carrot, learning how to lead them properly, to tie them up, to cleaning out their feet and the importance of that, to, you know, to saddling, to grooming, to saddling. You know, all of that is part of their weekly lesson. So we make sure that that's done. We also do, like, I do training days and things like on holidays for kids. So the kids, like on the Easter, we actually have a camp out. The kids actually pitch their tents and come and stay over. So it gives them a bit of, you know, a real life experience. You know, they've got to get up in the morning, and before they eat, the horses have got to have their breakfast and stables cleaned, and then they can go and have their breakfast, you know, and get ready for the day. But we make sure that they have to do everything. So it's built into, you know, every lesson they come. That's actually built into the lesson.
No, that's good. Wait, can you hear anything? No, that's because we're waiting for someone with a good quality horse product to be advertised here. If that's you, then contact us, horsechats@horsechats.com, and we'll send you the details. Thanks. Thinking about the workshops you do around the social, emotional well-being with children, tell us how you incorporate the horses into that program, into that workshop. What sort of problems do you expect to see, and how can horses help with solving that problem or fixing or supporting children with that?
Yeah. With my teaching experience as a classroom teacher, I've actually witnessed firsthand that there's a growing number of children who are suffering with anxiety, little to no self-confidence and self-esteem, bullying, you know, which is, you know, we're flooded with in the media. And some children are not bad enough to see a psychologist, but they're just needing some real tools and strategies to navigate their way through that particular challenging time in their life. So from teaching children to ride over the years, I've actually witnessed the benefits of horses and horse riding and what that's had on children. And it's, you know, it's just been life-changing for these kids and their families. So together with my sister, who's also a school teacher, we decided to start incorporating the social emotional workshops for kids and equine therapy. And we actually call it EI generation, the emotionally intelligent generation. So we run a variety of social and emotional workshops, and the skills that they learn in the morning sessions, we then apply those skills to the horse riding in the afternoon. So, for example, if you are not assertive and if you're not a confident person, the horse will take advantage of that and it will do its own thing. So you've got to step up and think about the strategies and tools that you've, you know, got this morning and actually put that into practice. And it's not being mean to the horse or being loud or cruel. It's actually being confident and telling the horse what you want it to do. But at the same time, rewarding the horse, good boy, good girl, you know, once they actually do what you want them to do. You know, and it's funny, a lot of kids don't want to actually speak. They, you know, they're almost afraid to speak to the horse. And again, that actually reflects into their friendships and later on, obviously, into relationships. And the biggest thing too is if they're nervous, you know, realising that the horse is actually going to pick up on that. And again, especially when it comes to jumping, if they're a little bit nervous, if you're a bit nervous, you know, the horse will pick up on that and may stop at the jump. And it's not because the horse doesn't want to jump, but the horse is actually looking out for you because it knows that deep down you actually don't want to do that. And applying all those tools and experiences to real life and what they may, you know, experience, you know, amongst friends, family, and in the real world. And, you know, but teaching the children, you know, if that they're, you know, kind and respectful and caring and understanding with an animal, well, again, that's going to transfer to people. Because I find children I've worked with who have had difficulty working with a horse, they tend to have difficulty working with people. And And if they're not kind and caring and have that sort of nature to an animal, well, again, that's going to transfer to how they treat people. So horses can teach children so much and bring, a lot out of them without them even realising what it's actually doing for them.
Yes, I think they're good reflection. And I think the workshops you're doing, I'm sure that the children would love the workshops, but the parents would also appreciate the workshops and the work you're doing within them.
Yeah, definitely. And we're constantly, writing new workshops and, making sure that it's relevant, because, kids are so different today. I know even when I started teaching to, how children are now and how you teach in the classroom, it's even changed. So it's keeping up to date and making sure, the experiences are real and the tools and strategies that they can actually apply are real to today's society.
Yep. Now, Shonelle, have you got a book that you could recommend to our listeners?
For children, I think, sort of for children sort of pre-teen, teenagers, I think the story War Horse is a beautiful story because that really shows the incredible bond between horse and rider. Mm-hmm. I think that's a beautiful story. And if they don't want to read the book, if they're not a reader, well, they can watch the movie and still, get that sort of understanding.
Mm-hmm. What about for older people? Anything there? Although as an older person myself, I certainly enjoyed the movie. I didn't read the book, but I enjoyed the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Look, to be honest, probably because I do a lot of work with children, I'm probably, I do a lot more reading around that sort of age group.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd love to have more time to do more reading for myself.
Yes. Yeah.
But at the moment with having two little ones and businesses and stuff, it's time doesn't allow, unfortunately.
And remember, you can find all the books recommended by our guests at horsechats.com/books. You can have a look at the guest page for the individual book they recommended, or just look at the recommended books by order of popularity at horsechats.com/books. Shonelle, what are you looking forward to at the moment? You're sort of doing more workshops, you've got your own children riding. Is there anything else that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, look, just continuing, to teach children, giving, as many children as I can the opportunity to experience horses. I definitely want to, head down the path of the equine therapy as well, and working with children, but more being proactive in a proactive way. So rather than waiting for a child to have an issue and then trying to fix it, let's educate parents and children and give kids those tools that they can actually use before there's a problem. Mm-hmm. So a problem actually doesn't arise.
Yep.
So I think, definitely playing a more, proactive role rather than being reactive and trying to fix. Yeah, but I think there's a big future in that.
Yep.
And I think there definitely is a big need for that more than ever for children.
Yeah. All right. Now, if you can summarise your philosophy with horses into a few sentences before we go, that would be great.
Yeah, I think because I work with children, telling children all the time to just enjoy their horse journey, enjoy the opportunities they have, that everyone is on a slightly different path. Don't compare yourself to others, that you are where you are supposed to be right now. And with, continued hard work and persistence, you will achieve those goals that you want to achieve. But you must learn to walk before you can canter and jump and do all that other, fun stuff. You've got to learn the basics.
Yes.
Don't skip the basics because you'll fall down at some point.
Yep.
So, take your time and just enjoy the experience, being in the outdoors and meeting new people and friends and, being with these incredible animals.
Yeah. All right, Shonelle, I think the insight that you've given to us, I love this making city kids' dreams come true, but just the work that you're doing with the social and emotional well-being with children and the work you're doing with horses there and using the horses to help with that is brilliant. So thanks for your time today. I've certainly enjoyed talking to you about a couple of different things, and hopefully we'll get you back on again sometime soon.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Glennis. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Shonelle. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Now, if you're still there, you probably know that I'm absolutely passionate about education within the horse industry. That's why I host this podcast. My other venture is Online Horse College. Have a look now at onlinehorsecollege.com and I'll see you over there.
Remember that our comments and instructions are general in nature and do not take into consideration your individual horses or your individual ability and circumstances. If you enjoyed this podcast, then please leave your comment below.